Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. 'Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Erika Klotz, who will be sitting in for Matt Watson today. Hello, Erika.
Hello, hello.
So glad to have you here. And before I tell everyone what we'll be discussing today and a little bit about you, I'm going to get a couple things out of the way, if that's all right with you.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, first off, today's episode of Startup Hustle is brought to you by Fullscale.io. If you want to see our talking heads, you can check out the Startup Hustle YouTube channel and at Startup Hustle Podcast on Instagram. So with me today, I have Erika Klotz, who is the CEO and co-founder of PopBookings. Now, you know I love it when you're interactive, so go to popbookings.com right now. Once again, hello, Erika.
Hello.
So tell us about what we're going to discuss the gig economy today.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bit of an expert on the matter, and
am.
your company, PopBookings, is well known here in Kansas City, amongst other places. So give us a little background about what you guys do.
So we provide a platform to help book event staff. So a lot of the jobs that get booked on our software are going to be very temporary, kind of in the sales and marketing space. So, we get some event workers that are doing the breakdown setup, greeting people at the door, but then we also have the brand ambassadors of the world that represent brands at trade shows. They walk around handing out free swag, at those events. So we all have some experience with the kinds of jobs that get booked on our platform. But it's kind of a lot that goes on to find those people and book them. So we're helping to solve that at PopBookings with software and technology.
I love software and technology. I also love the gig economy because I look back at, I'm getting old. I'm 44. 30 years ago, stuff like this was really hard to do. It was, there weren't things like I couldn't go drive an Uber. I couldn't, I had to really you had to really go out of your way to get gigs. And 20 years ago, or actually 25 years ago ish, was a bouncer at a bar, and I used to get a lot of gigs because I was in Durango, Colorado, and it's not like busy at every bar every night. So I had my own gig economy. I worked at 4 different places each different nights of the week, and but I had to go through a whole lot to kind of get that gig. So I think it's pretty cool in this day and age that really where I'm going with this is you don't have an excuse for being broke, people. There's a lot of things that you can do to get a hustle going. Now, we mentioned like sales, marketing, and events and stuff like that. Why is this kind of stuff a problem for people that are holding the events and also that are presenting at them, meaning like the companies or booths?
The core problem is it's all over the place. Like you said, it's no one-stop shop to find these kinds of jobs, even though they're really fun. I've done this kind of work in the field myself back in the day when I was trying to get my first company up and running. And, I would go to Craigslist and Facebook and ask my friends about it. And, in the industry itself and kind of how it works is it's before PopBookings was just staffing agencies. So you had to have these staffing agencies that you had these relationships with, and I had to be with like 50 different agencies just to get consistent work. So checking in and managing those relationships on that side was ridiculous, to always be looking for work. And then when you're trying to find somebody to work, you're, posting online, you're, asking for referrals, you're calling up people, you're doing email blasts, you're doing all these different things to try to fill the jobs that you have available because they're also all over the place. And so that's where we came in to say, hey, we need one, central source to bring this industry together because it already exists. Like, we're not creating a new market, if you will. Like, this is already happening. These bookings are happening. We're just providing that platform for it to happen more quickly and easier. So,
but you look at these trade shows. So I used to work for Roland. It's the world's largest manufacturer of electronic musical instruments. And we did 2 huge trade shows a year. And one of which we had a booth that was an acre big, like a football field size. It's
Massive.
Yeah, it was the NAMM show. It's the show for musical instrument manufacturers in that industry. Now think about that, like an acre, a football field size, and you can't, like, we didn't even have enough employees in the United States to truly staff that. That was already an all hands on deck. We had people that worked at Roland whose sole job, like full-time job, was to keep, so they do one in the winter and they did one in the summer. We had like 3 people that worked there that were just like there to coordinate the whole presence of the booth. And if you look at like how expensive that is,
Oh my God. It's ridiculous. And, another thing is 20% of any trade show budget is going to be travel and personnel expenses. So, for us, we allow companies to hire local, being able to hire remotely and know that you're going to get people that understand how to work a trade show booth. You can send all the internal employees you want, but half of them, it's a special skill.
They don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be talking to as many people as possible during that event to be able to get the ROI on that event. And that's just something that, a lot of people don't know how to do. So,
and you're right about that. Now, I like to say that's an acquired taste, because just because you can do it doesn't mean you want to do it. And
that too.
And no offense to the trade shows of the world, I don't like them. Like, I don't like being in the booth. I like going to them and talking to all the people in the booth. This I like, but I get like caged animal syndrome in the booth, and it's tough because, trade shows are tough. Like, you're on your feet. You're typically standing on concrete. They're long days.
I was going to say long days.
It's repetitive.
It is.
And when you say the pitch, like, you're doing the pitch, you're doing the same thing. And that was one of the things that I did when I worked for Roland, was I'd go do all these trade shows all over the Midwest. I say trade shows, well, whatever you want to call it, like expos.
Yeah.
And, they wear on you. And, some people are great at it. And if you don't have people that are great at it, you shouldn't even be there, because it's a waste of time.
It is. And it's such a big investment
Yep.
that
Yep.
people often forget. This key part is the people at your booth.
Yeah. And your people, so in this gig economy, especially in this kind of trade shows, your staff, like your local staff, they think they want to go, and it sounds fun and interesting. And then they get there, and after about 2 hours, they're all sitting around messing
Playing on
around.
their phones
Yeah. And
and
they're just like, and it takes a certain kind of motor and outward person to want to do that. Well, I really love what you guys do at PopBookings. And once again, go to popbookings.com. Check out Instagram. Go to at PopBookings. Basically, it shouldn't be that hard for you to find PopBookings online.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PopBookings. So, do we say that enough?
I don't know. I think we should say it one more time.
Popbookings.com. There you go. Should we sing it? We'll save that one for later. All right. So the quote gig economy extends past some of the stuff that you guys do, and it's big. And it's estimated that 75 million people in the United States participate in the quote gig economy. And a gig economy has different names for it: side hustle, and just different things. But I mean, driving an Uber is an example. Babysitting. I mean, really, like, some people, maybe they teach a fitness class or whatever, but
Dog walking.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of times people do all of the above, to really get a good amount of income if you want to kind of be like a full-time gigger, you know.
And some people do that too, but the problem is much like you defined, is, all right, so when you were talking about what you did and having to have all these relationships with all these different places and so on and so forth, you spend just as much time looking for work as you do working.
Exactly.
Which means two things: either you need to charge double, or you're probably getting underpaid. So now let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of how you guys do stuff, because with this kind of stuff, no shows can be a problem, or could be. So how do you guys what's your process for, like, helping me as a business know that you're going to deliver?
So a big thing is reviews, of course. So before, since the industry was so fragmented,
Reviews of the gig provider?
Yes.
And maybe of the producer too?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
Because, you don't want to work for somebody that's going to
Yeah.
treat people like crap when you get there. And so, ratings, reviews. So we have several categories in that. So, timeliness. Is this person showing up 10 minutes late every single time. Like
Right.
that's something you would want to know, right? As well as appearance.
Sure.
I'm not just saying, are you good looking or not? But
Well, no.
did you roll up in your pajamas?
Yeah, if you're a slob, I mean, you're representing someone's business. Like that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have
And if
all
I'm
those
paying
categories.
you to represent the business, I want you to like have your shit together. That's fair, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or did you show up drunk?
Yeah. Also not
There's
good. Yeah.
a lot of horror stories.
So is there literally like a rating for sobriety? It's like 5 stars, and then
It's implied. It's not. But if you no show on our platform, obviously we refund the business, of course, and then you're banned to work from that, and we're very upfront, and we show that on the app to the workers. So, it's one strike, you're out.
yeah, I don't blame you on that one. I mean, especially when it comes to. Here's the thing: is this is also. I refer to the needs as these are surge needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're holding an event, like whether it be, and I'm more familiar with live events like concerts,
Mm-hmm.
like and you have a local road crew. These are like people that like you pull in and you've got 3 semi trucks. You're not traveling with 30 road crew. You might have 8, and you need hands. You need bodies, and if they're not there, that can really, really, like here's the thing: the door's opening at 7, and you need to be on stage and like
you have a deadline. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's public. It's not changing.
Yeah, and you want to talk about getting sizzled and fried online. Make people wait outside, or like, I mean, there's a lot of people. I think people don't realize how much goes into putting on a live event.
No, it's the most stressful thing ever. I mean, if you've
Yeah.
ever done one,
Yeah.
But really, there's so many logistics. There's so many moving parts, and if one little thing goes wrong, it's a domino effect.
So at popbookings.com, what are the most popular gigs? What's the most popular?
So the most popular job title is brand ambassador, but
Okay.
the different types of events really vary.
What does that encompass? Is that someone to like represent your brand and just like talk and present and
Exactly.
say, hey, this company XYZ, they do this, they do that, and
Yep.
okay,
Yeah. So it's they go to concerts or anywhere where there's a lot of people, and so there's a lot of impressions to be made. So if it's a brand's target market, they want to be there, and sometimes they can't because of just logistics of getting somebody there that internally. But with our software, you can find somebody local, throw a shirt on, give them some talking points and a goal, and they'll go kill it.
Yeah.
Samplings are huge.
Okay.
So a lot of food and beverage brands work with us as far as finding somebody to go work at that little retailer and pass out that cheese, or what have you. Or it's a lot of liquor
Okay.
clients, the shot girls at the bars, things like that. So
Okay. So what is it? What do these things typically like pay or cost? Like if I want to hire, all right, let's say that, so I'm going to go do a tech conference and I want some people to come represent Full Scale.
obviously you get what you pay for, but we do have a system minimum of $15 an hour. So
That's
if you
super affordable.
if you
Yeah.
post anywhere around that, like
I
you'll
wouldn't
get
have
people, but if
I wouldn't have very high expectations for that.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Our system-wide average is more of the 22 an
Okay.
hour.
Still not
So
bad.
Totally depends on where you're booking, because in LA you need to pay at least 25 an hour, right? New York, same thing.
Still not a lot.
Still not a
Not
lot.
in those markets. That's
Yeah.
surprising.
So
Okay.
we've had rates posted up to 50 an hour. So if
Okay.
you really want rock stars, you're looking more at that. So
Okay, so within the PopBookings platform, I'll be able to set up a profile from DeCoursey, and with that, assuming I build up some ratings and some different stuff, do you profile each individual gig worker for the kind of specialties and stuff that they're like? I mean, I don't think I'd be a very good shot girl.
we do have photos. Like, we want people to know who's going to be showing up to represent their brand, right? So we actually have a minimum of 3 photos. Get the idea there. You could put in your past experience, the types of brands you've worked for in the past.
Any audio or video samples or anything like that, or like?
Not yet. That's something that we're looking towards, but we do allow you to chat back and forth with the person before you
I
book
see.
them. So if you do want to set up an interview, it's very much encouraged,
Sure.
to kind of get an idea of how they sound and how they talk and present themselves. So
Yeah, I asked at Full Scale, we have a video profile on every employee that works for us that has an employee profile, and part of that is a video. And for reasons that you defined, and like communication's key, I got tired of answering the question because all of our employees are in the Philippines. So I was always, and which by the way is like one of the most English fluent countries out there.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
I have a few support agents there.
Right, and their English is fine, but we just assume that because someone's not in the United States, a lot of people speak English worldwide. It's kind of a thing. But I got tired of answering that question, so we had our creative department do like a 30 to 60 second video on everyone, and I have not had to answer the question, do they speak English, since. But it made a huge difference because it also with that, we had our team members talk about like what they were passionate about. So it helped our current clients and future clients get a little bit of a flavor, some flavor about what the personality of the people was, and that was pretty helpful. Now, with that, similar to kind of like, and we're not a true gig economy, but the more information you can get about someone, what they're interested in, or
Makes
what
a difference.
We all have upsides and downsides. Okay, so we had marketing and salespeople. Now, you mentioned that you guys help with street teams.
Yep.
This is a big thing for bands and things that you're promoting, getting out and just like doing things related to that. And is that something that you guys get a lot of participants with?
We do. Street teams, just even going in Times Square in New York, for example, just anywhere where people are walking around. A lot of consumer-facing brands like to do those kinds of things. And then we also have the flip side of, people that, I kind of lost that thought.
Well, I mean, you're talking about like with street teams, just like, I mean, it's hard to get people to go out and just like interface with the random general public. And, I think that's where you're going with that is, okay, you have to walk a tightrope in between like being like the people at the mall that I'm like, get away from me.
You have to have thick skin.
I do not want my nails sanded down.
You really do have to have thick skin.
And then being able to be approachable. And one of the things, and we'll kind of go back to like the cheese passer outer position, like there's a different dynamic. Like I think of there's a different person that I want to hire for that than I want to hire for a shot girl, than I want to hire for someone that works in my trade show booth, that I want to hire for like setup or breakdown of different things. I mean, these are all completely different personality styles. They're different skill sets. I wouldn't want to have like a 5 foot tall, 85-pound woman like hauling gear in and out.
It's just part of the job. Like it's a necessary part of the job description.
Yeah. So, okay. So, with this whole thing, and you guys have been around since, I loved that I asked before, we actually do like a whole like 6 minutes of preparation for every episode of Startup Hustle. So I think we might have been under that quota today.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I asked what the history was, and you mentioned the bar napkin sketch was 2014.
It was.
And thank you, because I feel like I'm not alone, because I always reference the bar napkin. You could literally like form a company and sign a contract on the back of a bar napkin. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's like legit. It's maybe not as legit as you could get, but I think that's where a lot of things started. And then you guys launched in 2016. So and you guys have been successful, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, but you had to go through a whole process, and I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit. Just the things, the ups and downs of getting this stuff started. Mm-hmm. So here you are, bar napkin. You're like, this sounds like a problem we're solving. What happened between that and 2016? Like what, and feel free to express yourself about the stuff that was unpleasant, because there's always a list.
Yeah. Yeah, there was. It's thought of the idea, saw the need. It was very strong. Did some research on the market size. It seemed, hey, this looks good. Let's go after it. So I ended up going and pitching my co-founder about it, saying, hey, we should go do this tech company. And he's like, you're freaking crazy. Like we don't code, or anything like that. How are we going to do that? We're non-technical founders. So it was mostly the first step was just building that team, So we got our third co-founder. His name is Joe. He's built a booking app prior to this, so he understands what we were trying to do and how he could, get us off the ground. So he was able to get the MVP going for us and prove the concept. Raised the money in 2015, started building, the app out to be able to really charge, full price, launched that in March 2016. So timeline-wise, you don't think it's not going to happen overnight, so that was a good amount of time that passed. And a lot of the challenges that we had, especially in the fundraising side of things, it's the education on what we were trying to do and the problem we were trying to solve. Everybody talks about fintech and ag tech and all those other kind of industry sectors, but everyone's really sleeping on event tech. Like it's kind of crazy how much money is being put into events and how much of it in the Stone Age it is. So
Right.
22% of any corporate marketing budget is actually put towards live events.
Mhm.
You got those trade shows, conventions, expos, whatever you want to call them. And so that's a lot of money. That's billions and billions of dollars being spent. And there's almost no tech. So, especially in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of people kind of trying to tackle this massive problem. And we're doing the people part of the events, which is a very specific part of it. But sometimes I wonder, like, am I crazy? Like, I'm tackling problems of an event, which we already talked about, deadlines, and it's really stressful. And then I'm also doing people management, which is also notorious for being just really hard to manage.
And
So
not super scalable.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what am I doing here? And these are two very real problems. But it's that's where a marketplace needs to come about when you find this friction in the market. So, it's for us, we've actually, and in the accountability, when we talked about ratings and reviews, we're actually getting kind of some backlash from the event workers that have been in this industry forever, the veterans. And usually it's the people that really are taking advantage of the concept of being able to burn a bridge over here and have 100 other people that they could potentially work for. And so, managing PR has been kind of a really special skill that I've learned in the last 2 years, especially. So
Sure. And you breezed right over the tech part. Now, as the founder of GigaBook, I started a little prior to your bar napkin phase, and GigaBook's a booking app that exists. It's a fully customizable booking platform that is largely built for industries that don't have an industry-specific booking platform. So people will call me and they'll be like, "Hey, my cousin's a hairdresser. I think she'd love GigaBook," and I'll be like, "No, she will fucking hate it." And they'll be like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because there's like 6 things that are built just for what she does." Right, like like GigaBook is and fully customizable for that purpose. Now, why? That's just the avenue we chose. Honestly, if I had a time machine, I would go back and pursue a route similar to what you did, because booking is not easy. You think it is. Here, I look back at 2013, and we were like, "Yeah, this will take us like 6 months to build." 3.5 years later, and about 350 grand. We launched, like really launched. It was like 2.5 years later.
Yep.
And we spent $250,000 before we collected $1, which, looking back at it, like really wasn't that bad. Like, I mean, yeah, but think about that. So why is booking a challenge? Well, putting an item on and off of a calendar is not inherently difficult. It's all of the crap that can happen after.
Yep.
The invoicing, the payment, the rescheduling, notifications, reminders, like don't double book, don't underbook.
Time zones.
Time zones.
I'm over here in this time zone.
Yeah.
You're over here in that time zone. And God forbid, daylight saving time.
Yep, daylight. And we tackled a lot of that stuff. And then you also have things too. It's like, so you talk about international stuff, like in the Philippines, they do not do daylight savings times, and here we do. And like, these are like little simple things that we take for granted with software that we use that someone had to think out. Because every one of those was a freaking problem until it wasn't. So yeah, we really learned a lot. And then you also have other things too, like some of the things that were really hard building the GigaBook booking app were things like repeating and recurring stuff.
Yep.
Just because it's like, okay, and you think, oh, well, it's really easy. Yeah, but things don't always recur in a linear way. You can't just say, like, all right, if you look at some things have to be done every 30 days, which is different than the 5th of every month.
Yep. Yeah.
Because the 5th of January to the 5th of March is not a 60-day spread.
Nope.
And is there a leap year?
Yep. Leap years. We don't talk about leap years.
I mean, fuck you, whoever decided to have that fourth year have an extra day. And I'm like thinking to myself, next year's a leap year.
Ugh.
And I'm like, God, do I need
Don't
to
remind me.
I need to go call the GigaBook team. But so all this stuff, and here's the thing is, I'll tell you what, man, and don't mess with people's bookings.
Mm-mm.
It's not good. And you
Oh,
talk
it's
about that
sensitive.
backlash, that PR and that stuff. And like there was a time when, we were just basically giving it away for free. We're like, if you will use it, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the challenges with a marketplace, especially in the beginning, if you've listened to this podcast enough, you've heard me talk about it. And if you read $1 Million Bedroom, you heard me, you read my thoughts on this. Marketplaces are tough, especially in the beginning, because when they're empty, it's hard to get anybody to participate. So there's just like chicken and egg problem in any marketplace, whether it's labor, product, classified ads. And I learned this because I got tired of getting banned from classified sites from affiliate marketing. So I decided to build my own. And then I was like, shit, no one's in here. It's like going into a bar at midnight on a Friday and no one's there. And I used to be a bouncer.
Mm-hmm.
You're in an empty bar on Friday on a midnight, people walk in and they walk right back out.
Yep.
And the same thing with a marketplace. So how did you guys overcome the empty marketplace problem in the beginning with both service providers and companies seeking them?
So we actually started with our kind of secret growth hack, if you will. So we actually started as more of a B2B SaaS platform. So we actually didn't launch this marketplace until this year. So it's pretty relatively new for us to be a full public sign-on, be able to find somebody marketplace. So we had components. So
it was a
worked
closed marketplace at first?
Exactly.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So we had staffing agencies.
But still, that's a marketplace that has to be filled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they came with their own rosters of people. So, they're the ones kind of building out the team that they're going to be working with, or the posting the jobs as they get the jobs. So really, they're kind of in control of their own destiny. So they're not going to recruit people in a market they're not booking in yet.
Okay.
So they kind of kept that quality control going, and we ended up being kind of multi-agency enabled. So I could have one profile with 10 different agencies. And so with that respect, then I'm starting to see, PopBookings is the spot to go to check multiple agencies, because this is something they're already doing. So we had a very interesting user market that they were used to seeing an empty job board with some agencies, but they still logged in.
Did you have to give it away for free for a while?
For the talent, it's always been free,
Okay.
still is. And then with the agencies, we actually did charge, because we're asking them kind of a big thing, because they do event staff booking as the core of their business. So, we're offering them all these awesome management tools to really help solve this major pain point in their life, which is scheduling and booking and seeing people show up and paying them. And so for them, it was, you have to really just put that investment in and be serious about making a change.
So you just rattled off a bunch of things too. So now you're thinking about building your tech, and you're like, okay, well, this started with something that needed to have a calendar, but now we have invoicing, we have payment gateways, we have like all
GPS
these different
tracking.
Yeah, that's
Oh my gosh.
and why do you need GPS tracking? So you can say, yes, this person was at this place
And did the job.
and did
Yep.
maybe not. Maybe they were at
That
least
too.
there.
Well, we have a picture check-in as well. A real-time photo has to be taken of you in uniform in the spot you're supposed to be, not just sitting in your car
And these
right
are,
outside the event.
and I bet a lot of these things too you didn't provision for on the bar napkin.
That's what we raise money for.
Yeah.
The
it's
core was booking, figuring that out.
Yeah.
But we wanted to be a fully managed, platform.
But
marketplace.
some of that stuff sounds like it's like, and you can't help but there's things you can be proactive about, and then there's some things you can't. Like the picture check-in. I would be shocked if we wound back the time machine and we were on the bar napkin and you're like, yeah, we'll have to use GPS geofence location and a picture check-in. Like, because that probably occurred from something happening where, like, someone said, oh, they weren't there, and someone else was like, yeah, I was there, and you're not in frickin' Boise, Idaho to prove that either occurred.
Exactly.
Right. But the problem with that as an entrepreneur and a business owner is, okay, so now you realize you have a problem, and all of a sudden you're already probably knee-deep in things you want to build, and you're like, but we got to do this.
Yeah.
And
There's the
and how fast
want
does
to
that
build,
occur? Yeah.
and then there's the
Oh, yeah.
need to build.
Yeah. So how do you guys? And that's oh man, we could probably do like a 3-part series on that.
Yep.
I'm a big proponent that when it comes to need or want, like if you're gonna, this is why you get the baby's gonna be ugly. People get it out there and let people use it.
Yep.
Because your users are what matters, your clients are what matters, and they're gonna quickly tell you like what's wrong with your shit. They're
Yep.
gonna say,
Oh, that was tough in the beginning. First time founder over here, so it was like, oh, I used to take it to heart really, but it's more like you can't, because it's more just like good feedback. Like it's okay, well, I was wrong. You're probably going to be wrong on what you should build.
well, I don't think it's about being wrong. I think it's about being agile and listen. Yeah. I say listen for the echoes, because it's easy to want to chase feedback in the beginning. You hear one thing and then you're like, oh, we got to do that. We got to do that. And it's like, it's like me with my ADD chasing shiny things. Yep. But you can't do that. You got to listen for the repetition. And then on top of it, sometimes that repetition's false. Like there are things that people might not like, but they're not necessarily prohibiting you from growing your user base or retaining your user base. These are things that and those are the tough ones.
And there's a lot of them at times.
Oh,
it's like there could be a whole plate of them, and
Yep.
it's like,
Yep. And so it's like, what do I chase? What do I do? Yep. And you have limited. I mean, any startup. Let's be realistic. You guys have raised some money, right?
We have. Yeah.
Are we allowed to say how much?
Close to $5 million.
I mean, that's no small sum.
It's not.
Yeah. So, but while that sounds like a lot, I can run through it pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, and we're technically pre-Series A, because we had to get this marketplace up and running, and get that going, and that's really the gravy for us as a company. So,
do you guys have an app too?
We do. Yeah.
Okay.
Apple and Android.
Wait, we got to build something else?
Right. Yeah. So you got the web platform, you got the Android, you got the Apple, and it's a lot, But for us, we wanted to be the one app for the industry.
And by the way, the Apple, I've literally had people come and pitch me for investment and stuff, and I'm like, Apple's going to take a percentage of your shit, right? For certain things, and they're like, what? Yep. Like, now, how do you guys? You certainly aren't taking payments through the app, then.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're doing payments.
Because if you were though, no, if you're like doing stuff through that, then Apple wants a piece. And that, that's like, I don't know. There's just so many things. You got to really think it out. And remember, these aren't public service platforms. Like Apple's a big company.
Yep.
Last time I checked.
They're pretty big.
But they're finicky with their apps though. Like I think you can get an app into the Android store in about 8 minutes. Apple is going to put you through and we've run into this with different stuff. You'll be sitting there waiting for review, and 10 days later, it'll just get back and be like, "This has been rejected."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Why?"
Hard to plan.
And then you got to wait longer. Yeah.
Or it could be next day.
Yeah.
And you never know.
Yeah, and these are things that talk about hurry up and wait. So $5 million. Congrats.
Thank you.
That is significant. Let's talk about raising money for a minute. It's always a hot subject and something that people have unique input. So I'm assuming that didn't all come in one check.
It did not. No.
Okay. So, how'd you go about starting to raise money? Where was what are some things that you found frustrating, surprising, or how could you help someone not suck at it?
I think, I had several challenges just being a, first-time founder. I was pretty relatively young, especially when we started, and, got the age thing, and all of that. So it was interesting to have those conversations. We went
when you say age, it's more like experience.
Exactly. I don't have a track record,
Right.
and it was there, but it was very short. So, you have people that have been, have lots of money, been doing, things in their life, and they want to invest in people that have the same. But at the end of the day, the passion really is what helped, me and my team raise that money. So just being ultimately convicted in what you're doing and have a plan, and really just thinking, and in those conversations, you have to let that show, because I think that's really what helped us, was just showing how passionate we were and just how involved and how we took the leap. This is what I wanted to do, and I was going to do it full time, whether or not I got money or not. And I think those kinds of things help investors know, hey, I'm investing in that bus driver. I'm not investing in the bus. You could have the best shiny bus in the world, but if you crash it, it's gone. So they really have to believe in you as a person, and that you're going to keep working on this, through the thick and thin, because the entrepreneurship is definitely a roller coaster. It's not something like you walk a straight line on. So, that really helped. I will say that we don't have a lot of people in Kansas City that understood events, so we kind of had that challenge specifically. And so it was that educational piece of, here's what we're doing. And, the investors that were wanting to diversify their portfolios, we had to kind of educate them on the problem. So
getting people to invest in things they don't understand is hard.
It is definitely hard, yeah. But once they saw how real of a problem this was, it was kind of a no-brainer. So it's just a matter of, getting a hold and access of those investors. What helped us, honestly, is that we were in an accelerator program pretty early on. Spark Lab Kansas City.
Okay.
I don't think they're
I
around
was going to say,
anymore.
are they still around?
They're not. I believe we were the last. Yeah, we were the last class that went through.
Did you find that helpful?
Very, yeah. So
tell me why.
They had some programming around, learning about business concepts and things like that. So it was an earlier stage accelerator program. So, some people, didn't know a lot of that stuff. But the biggest thing for us was getting to present at demo day. At the end of that program, being able to showcase what we were doing, and they did a really great job of getting investors in the room that were looking to do startup investing. So, kind of getting that access and that getting into a program that's competitive like that is validation. So, entering in competitions and things like that really does help too. Because
I compare them to like the badges, like Boy Scout badges, or like your baseball card collection, or just any of that stuff, or like a video game avatar.
Yeah.
Like you just, and by the way, I'm fairly certain the Matt that's not here is an investor in your company, isn't he?
He sure is.
Yeah,
Yeah, he gets it.
Yeah, and so Matt has been successful as an entrepreneur, and Matt favors the shotgun approach in some regards, and makes smaller but still meaningful investments. And I don't even think he knows how many companies he's invested in. But these
I would believe that, yeah.
Yeah, but with that, and I say that shotgun approach is some investors want to put bigger amounts into fewer companies, and then some want to spread them around and go early stage. And there's different types of investors for different stuff. One thing that I'm going to say that, in my opinion, that you nailed was the passion thing. Regardless of, it doesn't matter if you don't have passion for what you're doing. It is very detectable.
Yep.
And why does that matter? Because look, I'm going to shoot some reality at you. You got a fucking dogfight in front of you, and you're going to get bit, scraped, beat up, shut out. You're going to cry.
I've cried.
I've cried, and I don't
cried.
cry. I cry like every 5 years, and it's usually about something that like that. But if you can't get up off the mat, well, you're out. You're out for the count. Now, one thing about passion is it will drive you through a lot of that stuff. You can get through a lot of crap if you're passionate about getting back up. And it's just literally, I just described like the heart of a fighter. A fighter, that's one of the things. Can you get up and continue and continue and continue? And then, one of the things that's a challenge, and a lot of people express this, they're like, well, I don't have any experience. I don't have a track record. Well, investors like the jockey or they like the horse. If they can get both, they're going to place bets. And that's tough in the beginning because you're trying to convince people why you're awesome. And and keep in mind too, any investor, until they give you a check, it's their job to get the best deal possible for themselves, for their fund, for whatever. So they're not always going to be like, you know what, Erika, I just think you're awesome, and I'd love to give you more money at a lower valuation because of that. No, fuck no. They're going to tell you everything that's wrong.
Yep.
They're going to tell you why you suck and why it's not worth this and why it's not worth that. And then, but in the back of your head, and listen to this, people, in the back of your head, I want you to think, and I'll tell you right now, if they are having that conversation with you, they are interested. these are good things. These
Yep.
are, don't come out of that meeting and go, God, they hated everything we know. Because I know a hell of a lot of people that write checks, like a ton, and they are busy. And if the moment they're not buying, they send you out the door.
Yep.
Like literally, like, and I've actually been involved with that, like on, not in person, but in a call. And they're like, no, this isn't for us. Like 3 minutes in. And I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. And I thank them. I'm like, thank you.
Yes.
You're saving my time. I get it.
No
You're
one likes
saving
a
yours.
slow no.
No,
No.
hell no. Hell no. But the thing is these folks are like, you know, when we had, there's a whole lot of shows in the feed that are related to funding. Go back and listen to them because we brought people in from all different kinds of stuff. VCs, alternative funding, accelerators, all of it. Go find them and listen to them because you will hear everyone say, I get 100 submissions and we might write one check.
Yep.
So you got to wrap your arms around that. And that means like you're going to get a lot of no's. So you got a lot of no's, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got no's, you know, and it is what it is. Move on, you know.
But not everyone feels that way because that's back to that passion. Like it's almost testing you. I believe that success demands payment in advance. And there's no real way. Like you don't just wake up and you're like, oh, cool, I'm successful. That was easy.
Right.
Hell no.
You got a headache from the day before.
And the people that you think that are in that situation aren't. Because if you talk to them, there's no such thing as an overnight sensation. There's like, I mean, maybe a few. Like, so maybe I'll retract that a little bit. But overall, like these people are grinding. They're out there. Like there's a video of Taylor Swift when she's like 14, like playing at an open mic in a bar in like Austin.
Yep.
And like, you know, and then a couple years later, she was playing arenas, but she was in the grind. Like you don't just get noticed. Oh yeah. You know, and for those of you listening that want to syndicate this radio show, like with Joe Rogan or someone else, we're open for offers there. See, but you have to actually be doing it and be, you know, grinding and beating that up. So, all right. So let's talk about something that might be a little abrasive. Well, recently Uber validated everything that you do with a recent, so Uber, all right, by the way, people talk about what's a startup. I thought it was funny. They called Uber a startup until it went public. Once your name becomes a verb, you are no longer a startup.
Right.
So once people were Ubering, no longer a startup. But that, you talk about something that Uber is a verb. I mean, and known for ride sharing, and their painful inability to become profitable, like really bad. Like, I mean, they're losing like $1 billion a quarter. So they're really trying to branch out and try to use their technology for stuff. They offer some alternative forms of gig economy stuff. Did you see that as validating, or were you like, fuck you, Uber? Or maybe both?
Honestly, you know, so they announced, I think it was actually a couple years ago that they announced that they were going to do Uber Works.
So they did? That didn't just come out of nowhere?
It was like being piloted, I think, in one market, which I believe was Chicago. And, you know, it just seemed like it was kind of fizzling as an internal thing that they were trying to do. And even still, I think they went national, you know, recently this year. And I've heard their name once in sales conversations. So, you know, for us, I think they are finding their niche because, you know, you can cast a wide net, but at the end of the day, you're going to find, you know, certain sectors of that you're going to be stronger in. And I think they're a little bit more on the, you know, dishwashers and then things like that are very low skill.
Concession stand workers, some of those things. There might be some overlap, but and here's the thing too, is they're going to go through all the same crap you went through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except for
they're going to learn.
Yeah, these big companies, and you know what? They shouldn't scare the shit out of you if they come and enter your space. Like there's more validation than anything else. And I went through that. We were a couple years into GigaBook, and then Microsoft announced that they were going to have a booking platform. And it was really funny because when it came out, and it's probably still now, we were better. We literally had a better product that did more stuff and did it well than Microsoft.
They're just too big.
I mean,
it's like the Titanic trying to turn something around. To be agile, it's virtually impossible.
I talk about trying to turn around a battleship in a swimming pool, or something like that, or an aircraft carrier, or any of that stuff. And that's the advantage. I think that that a lot of the stuff that's come up. So you know, Uber's inability to turn a profit and WeWork's explosive valuation. and a lot of this stuff are bringing attention back to the fact that businesses, in the end, at some point, need to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like they really do. And I think that over the next few years, you're going to see a renewed emphasis on businesses, like, you know, because right now you can, like, Uber's got a gajillion dollar valuation, losing $1 billion a quarter. Like, take that to the bank. Like, if that was full
Right.
scale and I took it to the bank, I'm like, hey guys, I need a loan. They'd be like, ha, 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 ha. You said loan. You said you wanted money, but like I can make an argument. Well, business school will tell you there's no profit.
Yeah.
There's no value.
I mean, the math.
Yeah.
It's math.
But maybe not. So it's just so weird. But eventually, you know, businesses do have to make money. There has to be something that exists that's of value. You know, the funny thing is, I look at Uber's like ride sharing thing. Like, raise your price a little bit. I don't think I'd even notice.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
really wouldn't. I'd be
Yeah.
like, okay. I mean, and I'm also lazy, so I'm not gonna like be like, you know, we're gonna put the Lyft app on here too, and I'm gonna see how much it costs. Like, can I save 84 cents? No,
the
man,
thing.
it's
Yep.
on my phone. You won. Congrats. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even use it that much. So, okay. So for those of you listening, and I know you want to go out and sign up for a gig or maybe hire some people or do something related, go to popbookings.com. We said we'd sing it. popbookings.com. That was free.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At PopBookings on Instagram. Once again, today's episode of Startup Hustle is brought to you by Fullscale.io. We help you build your software and development teams quickly and affordably. By the way, you guys actually use remote developers. It's not at full scale, but you found some success with that, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but if you get it right, it's great.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we like to close out our episodes of Startup Hustle with what we call the Founders Freestyle.
Ooh.
So you're going to get to talk about whatever you want, but because I'm a kind and gracious host, I will buy you a couple minutes or moments to
Okay.
consider that. But yeah, so I think that when it comes to the gig economy, you know, a couple things we didn't point out is this is estimated to be a $55 billion global economy by 2023, and that's got to be pretty exciting. So, all right. So as we close out the episode, we like to hand over the mic. You can. It can be a pitch. It can be advice. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty open-ended.
Well, we realized that due to the ADD and conversational nature of the show, that sometimes we could leave things unresolved, and we want to make sure that our guests get a chance to play the missing note or.
Gosh, I
anything
mean,
they
I feel
want.
like we've covered a lot of great subjects, you know? I mean,
I'll tee it up for you. What's some advice that you could give for a female founder
mhm.
when it comes to starting the business of their dreams?
Ooh,
How about that?
I know.
Yeah.
So, speaking of girl power, you know, playing on your strengths is something
Mhm.
that I found that's really worked for me. So, you know, I am a very emotionally intelligent person, you know, so as far as, you know, building teams and dealing with clients, you know, that's something that I showcase when I am, you know, trying to raise money and somebody might not understand, you know, what it's like to invest in female founders, you know, but showing that it works, you know, and all of that, it's really something that you should just play on those strengths, you know. Yes, I am a girl. I am not going to try to be a man. You know, I am going to, you know, play on the strengths that I have and find people that can supplement that. So, you know, I have a good diverse team that I've built over the years, you know, so it's got men, women, it's got, you know, people of different ethnicities and age groups, you know, and I love that. I think it's great. I'm not going to be the female founder that goes and gets a bunch of other females behind me. It's just not something I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make it to where we have different types of people to help build this product because our user base is like that. So it's funny, you know, the people that work these events, you'd think, oh, they're going to be, you know, like a little bit younger, 25 to 40, you know, whatever. It's actually, we have, you know, college students. We have the stay-at-home moms, you know, that are just trying to get extra income. And then we have the retired people that are just trying to get it out of the house, you know. So we have a lot of different age, you know, like, I guess, demographics that we need to build. So I think that's really helped us is being that diverse and, you know, figuring out those strengths and really just playing on them. Not trying to force it.
Well, I love that. And I don't even like labels. Like, you're an entrepreneur. I don't
Exactly.
care if you're a chick or
Right.
if you're white, black, Latino,
Mhm.
Asian. I don't care. Can you get the job done?
I say that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
people are, ask me about, being a woman entrepreneur all the time, and I'm just like, well, I mean, similar.
Yeah, I mean, I
so similar.
I mean, yeah, I mean, technically you're trying to do the same stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's a hot topic, and it's touchy for some people too. And,
Yeah.
like, I've actually given my, like, I don't care about labels. And, I've had people, well, that's because you're a white guy. I'm like, well, I can't do a lot about that.
Right.
I can't.
All I could do is say, well, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a kind of a crazy high statistic because computer programmers are overwhelmingly male.
Yep.
25% of our developers are female.
Yeah.
At full scale. Like, we have a ton of female programmers, and, like, I don't care. I mean, they do the job. I think it's great. Some of our clients actually, like, gravitate towards that. They're like, yeah. I'm like, hey, if that's what helps you feel good about what you're trying to accomplish, that's great.
Well, yeah, and it's it goes back to that diversity thing. I mean, it's different worldviews.
Yeah.
Ultimately end up being good. If you just have
Yeah.
one set of type of person working, that's what you get.
99% of my employees are not white men.
Good.
There you go. Feel like I'm winning on that one.
Woo!
So I'll go ahead and close out. I'll rock my freestyle here. So look, a bar napkin can turn into a business, can turn into $5 million in funding, can turn into a dream, can turn into you helping other people provide for themselves and their families. These are things that matter. I think really in the end, if you wake up every day and your goal is just to do something that matters, you're going to be fine in the end. And the whole gig economy, I love it because I really wish stuff like this was easier 30 years ago.
Yep.
I think it's awesome now. Like, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. So they will eventually grow up and they will go to college and they're going to call me and be like, Dad, I want money. I'm going to be like, dude, how about that phone that I pay for that's in your pocket? There's something in that that you can get out there and hustle. Like, go earn it.
So many ways to make money.
Yeah, and you don't have an excuse. And I think people complain, oh, I'm broke. Oh, dude, you got a million fucking ways to make a buck that are like right in front of you. It's like literally like so easy. Now you got to go do the work, but it's easy to find options and opportunity. And I think that's what's awesome about PopBookings and so much of these, just all of the gig economy in general. Like, it sounded very painful talking about having to work with 50 different booking agencies and all this different stuff. But guess what, folks like Erika have thought this out for you. And whether what you need is at PopBookings or it's out there.
Yep.
It's out there. And I don't care what it is you do. There's probably something that's catering toward whatever you feel like spending time doing. And with that, all right, let's think about what you just described, going to an event, going to a concert. I'm around people. I could be having fun. Like, it doesn't have to be terrible.
No.
It really doesn't.
It was fun. I worked some fun events.
You meet cool people. You do cool stuff. Like, I mean, you just talk about like so many different things. Like, if you like music, there's concert events, there's stuff like that. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to put in some work, but guess what? You don't have to haul gear in and out while the show's going on. You probably get a few minutes, and like, it's just like if you enjoy being around that vibe, and and I mentioned this in my recent book about the music industry. Like, the music industry is like an iceberg. Like, what you see on stage is literally the tip of that iceberg. There's 99% of it is below the surface, and these are crucial things. It matters. You're important. Like, the show must go on, and and I think that's important. You know what? I think I'm going to use PopBookings to find more co-hosts for when Watson's not here. But
PopBook them.
Well, yeah, but and you also talk about the efficiency. Like, you've scheduled your co-host time here today using GigaBook. And people ask me a lot. They're like, with a podcast that comes out 4 days a week, you must spend a lot of time on booking. I do not.
Yeah.
I do not.
All automated. It was great.
It is. It's you. Well, no, I sent you an invite, and here's the thing: it's like it took me a while to get you to come in. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you had time, but I literally served that up to you. I'm like, look, here's the times when we'll be doing this. Find one that matters. or don't.
Got a little reminder this morning.
Yes. Yeah. What? Yeah. Use the south entrance to the building.
Yep. Critical information, man.
We have a maze of a building. Well, anyway, I think that I'm all fired up about making a couple extra bucks. So I'm going to go head over to popbookings.com and find myself a gig.
Oh yeah.
See y'all next time.